Welcome back into the Rounding Third podcast. I'm Nick. We have Harrison tonight. How are we doing, Harrison?
I'm awesome. How are we doing, bud?
Not too bad, not too bad. Sean is fulfilling his teacher duties tonight and meeting with all you parents that, got those little ones running around. So he'll hopefully be back the next couple of weeks because Harrison's going on vacation next week. So you'll just see me and me consistently for the next 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So
Nick will be your guide for the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. So run away now while you can. But no. All right, we'll get into it. But first, make sure that you follow and like us on Facebook. You can now follow us on Instagram. We're also live on Instagram as well. You can also subscribe on YouTube. You can also listen on Spotify and Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. All right. So we have some interesting things to kind of get into. Not like huge news things this week, but a couple of kind of different-ish stories came out. So we'll lead off with Scherzer's update to fix or umpire fix suggestion. My goodness, talk much. So Scherzer tweeted out an idea, or someone else tweeted out a quote that Scherzer said. And it says something like this. It says, "We need to rank the umpires. We have the electronic strike zone. So why don't we just use that and rank them?" And then he said, "We need to have a conversation about the bottom." And he gave a rough number, like 10%. He's like, and then if whatever you do to declare what the bottom is and relegate them to the minor leagues. So, I mean, we have an electronic strike zone system in place, and we have these umpire report cards. So between the electronic strike zone and these report cards, you could determine who the bottom 10% of these umpires are and relegate them to the minor leagues. And that could be a forever flowing thing. Like after each week, right. Put them up, put them down. Because this idea of like umpire crews, I think should go by the wayside. I mean, if you're bad at your job, dude, you're relegated. Like that's it. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, and I think the original concept of the crews MLB came up with for two reasons. One, it was to kind of consistently know where people were going and make sure you didn't have all these conflicts of people trying to get from different places when series ends at different times. So you kind of had this group of guys just kind of kept traveling together. They worked the same series. You always knew where that group was going to be. You weren't trying to assign, 120 umpires. You were trying to assign, 30 crews. So it was easier planning wise and travel wise to make sure you had this consistent set of people that moved together. The problem with that, though, is that, and I guess the other piece of it too is thinking that if they work together constantly, you kind of build a rapport with each other. You know how things work, and it just makes it easier. You're not working with strangers all the time. The problem is a lot of these guys got really comfortable. These guys, they became buddies on the road and became very comfortable. And then you get this kind of territorial situation where now they're like protecting their own. Like if you're in this crew, you're a little unit, and we protect each other. So even though you screw up, I'm going to cover for you. I'll back you up. I've always got your back. And you started to create these situations where these crews, it wasn't about, making the call or dealing with the managers, about making sure they covered for each other. And that was when MLB started to try to mix them up. So you'd be in the same crew for a little while, and they mix them up and have different assignments to try to continually keep it fresh. So I get why they did it. The side effects weren't good. But what you have now is you've got these crews that have maybe a couple of good umps on them, and then you got kind of a couple of duds. And you just know as you cycle through, you're gonna catch that guy, the guy you don't want. And you just can't hide them. And now you've got these umpires that are getting away with these ridiculous ejections, and then they're getting backed up by their buddies in the field, because now it's become more than ever with the scrutiny, them just trying to protect each other. It's literally like the umpires versus the players and managers. It's like a battle. And it's not about being comfortable and protecting your own. It's literally it's like a fight to make sure your guys are protected.
Yeah, and I think it's time to fix something, whether it's Scherzer's suggestion or not. MLB has to do something to alleviate this umpire problem.
But let's go down the Max Scherzer rabbit hole for a minute.
Okay.
So you create a ranking system, and I don't, we won't even get into the semantics of that, but every night they get a grade, blah, the number spits out, and after so long, whether it's, once a month, twice a month, whatever frequency they rank these guys, the number spits out, you line them all up, and the bottom 10%. So you're talking literally bottom 10% is you're talking what, 10 or 12 guys, not a ton of people.
Yeah. No.
Those bottom 12 basically get a call from the league saying, hey, sorry, you didn't make the cut. You'll be at AAA. And then the guys that did make the cut get the call and they get to come up from AAA because you have to rank them in the minors too.
Right.
And now all of a sudden you got new blood in the system. And maybe those guys from AAA come up and they don't do well and they end up going back down, but like at least they had the experience. They're getting the experience. And that can fluctuate. You could have guys coming back and forth. MLB's afraid of that because the chaos of constantly changing umpires. And they're afraid the players aren't going to like the fact they don't really know who they're getting because it's constantly changing and these are people they've never worked with. But at the same time, you've now created a merit-based system where you stay because you do a good job. Not because you've been there a long time, but because you've actually done a good job and earned the spot, just like the players themselves have had to do. Because when you look at the team, if you're not performing, you get sent down. When you perform again, you come back up. It's just exactly what the players go through.
Yep. But chances are the big league guys know who these umpires are, even in the minors. I mean, especially with the fluctuation of young guys we have, they've probably seen the top umpires at some point in their minor league career.
Yeah, there's some level of familiarity with them, and I think that
Absolutely.
they mix. I think they mix in during spring training a little bit too. So it's not like they're complete and utter strangers.
Right.
I hate to say it. When you go into a game with Angel Hernandez by the plate, as much as he's terrible, you know what you're going to get. When you go into a series with, Nick Arno from AAA, who just got up, you don't exactly know what you're going to get. But I think the players have a lot more confidence they're going to get a fairly called game because these are literally the best ranked umpires in baseball, period.
Right. Yeah.
So I like it. It's a merit-based system. You come up and you go down based on your performance. If you continue to suck, you stay down in the minors. If you continue to perform well, you stay up in the big leagues. And, maybe you can't rank them, twice a month, but at least monthly. So maybe during the season, there's 3 or 4 bright lines where people switch.
Right. And I'm not saying if you get relegated to AAA, like you lose your salary. Like, no. Like you keep your salary. It is what it is. But it's almost like a probation period, sort of. And it's like, hey, dude, you can get back up here. Yep. You just got to fix it. And then you're back up. But,
yeah,
I mean,
do well, you come back.
I just like it because it's a suggestion. We haven't heard anything about.
No, right. It's something.
It's something. So hopefully.
But at the same time, like you think about our conversation last week, and Sean made the point of, the umpires have got to save themselves. When everybody's calling for a robot to replace you, that's your problem. That's a you problem, and you've got to save yourself. And if you're not willing to do that, and if I'm an umpire, I'm thinking, well, geez, that's not a bad gig because, hey, if I'm Angel Hernandez, I get demoted to AA and I'm getting paid the same amount of money. Whatever. Yeah, I probably lose the perks of being able to stay in better hotels and fly more comfortably, but you're going to pay me to go minor league games where nobody cares? Like, sure, hell, Angel Hernandez might sell tickets.
Right.
People coming out to see him.
Facts.
But like, if you're not going to fix it yourself, you got 2 options. You either have to jump on board with a program like this that protects the umpires from being replaced by robots, or just accept the fact the robots are going to take over. And you're going to get an ABS system or a robo-ump, and that's where things are going to go. And if I'm the umpires union, I could live with this kind of solution where I get the whole pool of every umpire together and we're moving them around. That's a whole lot better than saying, well, I'm going to lose half of you guys to a robo-ump behind the plate.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's definitely not the fix everything problem, but it's a step in the right direction. Like I said, at least it's a suggestion because we haven't heard anything from the MLB on how they're going to address the umpire problem, if they are at all. So who knows?
Well, but to go down another lane, Nick, I read an article, I want to say it was last week, and I want to say it was Passon or somebody like that had wrote about the umpire situation. And what they're finding is they're having a tough time retaining umpires in the minor leagues, A, because they make no money, but B, because they see no path to the major leagues. None of those guys leave.
Right.
And so the umpires union is going, well, we got nobody coming up, and baseball is going, well, because you got no way to keep them.
Yeah.
Like, you need to start moving guys out. Like, Angel Hernandez has been an umpire for 33 years.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be like That would be like working at a company where every manager in the company's been there for 30 years and they're never going to leave.
Right.
And you're an employee going, well, why am I still here? Like, I can't go anywhere. I'm stuck.
Right. Right. Buy them
And
out.
that's what's
Send them
happening.
home. Yeah.
Right. So you're finding umpires are not staying in the minor leagues because they can't make enough money to live, and there's no point in staying on a career path that's going to go nowhere. So they just don't.
Right.
They just stop. And that again gets back to the umpire union protecting their own people and not caring about these guys who aren't in their union yet because they haven't made it to the major leagues because there's no path to get to the major leagues.
Yeah. So I don't know.
We'll never get better umpires if you can't recruit them and keep them.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. We'll see what happens with that, if anything. But it will be interesting to see moving on. But
I'm just happy to hear somebody say something. It's not just like that. It's not just how much they suck. It's here's an idea.
Right.
Because like you said, there's been no ideas to this point.
No, it's the first one I've heard. So it's great.
And
I love it.
And I love the fact, as much as people don't like Max Scherzer, he's like the modern day Kurt Schilling. He's at least going to tell you what he thinks.
Yep. Absolutely. Same reason Trevor Bauer can't hold a job in the MLB. But anyways.
Well,
all right.
Problem is at least Max Scherzer is like constructive and Bauer is just obnoxious.
Yeah, facts. All right. We're going to move on to the other kind of controversial thing here in the oven mitts and Aaron Judge's slide going into second base. Now, this is like split 50-50. This is a lot of people are like, yep, it was interference. He stuck his hand up, blocked it clear as day. And then Aaron Judge comes out after the game. He goes, I slide like that all the time. I always have my hands up.
He does, which is true.
It is true. But if you watch, there's like a clip of him going in, I don't know, 15, 20 times. There is a couple where he switches to the right hand, depending on what side of the base the fielder is going across, right? Yes. So is he trying to interfere? Maybe not. Maybe he's just trying to obstruct the view of the fielder. But you have these 5 to 10 inch oven mitts on now, and he has no fear putting his hand up to try to block a ball. If it hits my hand, it hits my hand. But the fact that the umpires missed this call on the field and then came out after the game and said, yeah, you know what? We missed it. What? Did umpires just admit that they missed a call? That is all the fans want. The fans just want the umpires to be accountable. Be like, hey, yeah, I missed that pitch right down the middle. It was a strike. I called it a ball. I missed it. But I mean, it's clearly interference. This play is clearly interference. His hand is up. He bats the ball out of the air. I don't know how you call it the other way.
I don't know how you missed the call to begin with. I mean, the shortstop, the second baseman fields the ball, flips to the shortstop. The shortstop makes a throw. It hits Aaron Judge's hand and doesn't even make it to first.
Right.
Like if you've got 4 umpires in the field that can't see that ball not get to first base because Aaron Judge's hand was in the way, I don't know how you fix that level of unable to call a game. Like, there's no reason to miss that. There's no debate about what it was. But what I will say is that back when I was in like AAU ball in high school, they taught us to slide with our hand up to try to obstruct the view of the player.
Right.
That was how we were taught to slide. You slide, you put your hand up, you make it harder for them to see. On occasion, you're going to take a ball off the hand and doesn't feel very good, and it's an interference call, but maybe you'll block a view enough to make him make a bad throw. But like, we were taught to slide that way. That's old school.
Yeah.
Aaron Judge sliding that way today just seems silly. But not only that, but a guy with that's that tall with that kind of wingspan. I mean, that dude laying on the ground putting his arm up he's probably the same height as a guy like Dustin Pedroia was standing up. Like,
right.
There's a lot of middle infielders that he is an intimidating force coming at them, and he puts his hand up in the air and they probably can't see. But there's no way to miss that call. The ball clearly doesn't make it to first base because Aaron Judge's hand is the only thing in the way of the throw.
How do you miss that call? And how do you not hear it slap off that oven mitt?
The whole thing blows my mind. It's like, it was so clear what happened. Everybody saw it. It was obvious what happened. And they still blew the call. And amen, they admitted to it. But at the same time, you got to go back and say, well, how could you have missed it? Like, the ball didn't make it to first base.
Right.
It got knocked out of the air. And none of the 4 of you clearly saw what happened?
I mean, granted, it didn't change the outcome because the Yankees still won 15-5. But
it didn't matter. But still,
it doesn't matter.
But it was just dumb.
it's just funny, like listening or seeing the comments online. Like people are like split down. Oh, Judge does that every time.
Which he
Okay,
does.
right. I saw a comment that was perfect. He's like, if I speed in a school zone 58 times, but I get caught on the 59th time, like it's still wrong. Like
Right.
I'm still speeding. It's just the 59th time I got caught. Like
Yeah, not
it's
getting caught does not mean it's not illegal.
right. So I mean, it was perfect. But
And they're
what
right.
it,
Judge always slides like that. His hand is always in the air. I've never seen it get hit before.
right,
But when you do that, it's bound to happen eventually.
exactly. Um, what is your view on the oven mitts? Because I know they're to protect their fingers, and I'm all for protection. I mean, these guys are up there in hockey gear when they're hitting now at this point. But like
Well, if a
with
guy was throwing 100 miles an hour, I might go up there in hockey gear too, man.
oh, for sure, like full on leg pads, shin pads,
Yeah,
everything.
I would look like Swayman up there.
I get it, but like, at what point do the players keep pushing the envelope and pushing the envelope? Like, oh, like I have an oven mitt that's 4 inches past the end of my fingertip, so it gives me a little bit extra advantage to get into a stolen base or get back to the bag on a pickoff attempt. Like, can MLB regulate this somehow or get it to stop? Or will they?
Well, I'm with you on I get the purpose of the oven mitt to protect their fingers, and like you said, I'm all for player safety. And there's nothing worse than a guy missing a chunk of the season because he breaks a finger going into second base. So,
Right.
got it. But at the same time, there's a fine line here between safety and like trying to find an advantage, which is what you're getting at. I do believe, and I'd have to look it up. I do believe there's a rule that any glove on the hand of a runner can only extend so far. Like they can't just like put this oven mitt. They can't wear like the scuba feet and slide into bases like get the extra foot of reach. I do believe there's a rule about how far off their hand something can be. So it's I believe there's a limitation to it, but how you enforce that, I don't know. Could a guy just like stick his hand in a little bit and like Velcro it together, and now he's got like an extra 4 inches off the end of his hand? I don't know. There's probably all kinds of games that can get played there, but I think as long as MLB doesn't find that players are using these gloves to gain an advantage running the bases, I think you're okay. I think if you look at players that are wearing these oven mitts, and it's hard because it's hard to correlate this because a lot of the guys wearing the oven mitts are guys that run, and they
Right.
wear them for a reason. A guy like Aaron Judge wearing the oven mitt, that's probably more just like trying to wrap him in bubble wrap because he tends to get hurt a lot.
Right.
But if a guy like Ellie De La Cruz wears it, I believe that he wears it because he's going to go into bases hard. That's what he does.
Yeah.
So I get it's hard to correlate, but if you've got guys wearing these oven mitts that are stealing bases at a significantly higher percentage than the rest of the world, you've got to kind of wonder why. Now, maybe it's just those are your better base stealers, and you can make that correlation, but at the same time, you got to wonder, like, is there something else to it?
Yeah. I saw one the other day. It was a Rockies player. I can't remember who it was, but they had Dinger on their oven mitts, and he had the ears sticking off the ends of the oven mitts. It was a really cool oven mitt. But again, that's like an extra like advantage. You think about that, like Marcus Semien got tagged out last year in the playoffs from his batting gloves hanging out of his back pocket.
Right.
Like,
right.
It's just like little stuff like that. But like, I just wonder if MLB at some point will be like, it has to be just the mitt. It can't be anything else hanging off it or whatever. I don't know.
Well, I mean,
but
football, they talk about football is a game of inches and baseball is a game of milliseconds. Like you're talking like a snap of a finger can change the entire outcome of a game. And that mitt might make the difference. That extra half inch to an inch off the top of your finger, depending on how it's positioned on your hand, maybe that makes all the difference.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a good way to police that. I would say that if MLB doesn't have regulations on how those gloves are supposed to fit and how they're made, they should, but I'm pretty sure they do have some guidelines around how they have to fit.
It's fair.
But if you continue to see guys in these oven mitts that are gaining some sort of an advantage, you should be checking them. You should make sure that they actually do fit. They are made to standard. I feel like we're getting to a point now where, they're checking pitchers between innings. You kind of have to check hitters on occasion too. Like,
right.
Maybe not the George Brett extent of like, let's measure the bat every time and throw them out for pine tar because you don't see that as much anymore. But like these guys are using all kinds of, they've got all these different sprays and ointments and rosin, and then all these things they wear in their hands, the different types of batting gloves, and the little things they put on their thumb to help their positioning. And Ellie De La Cruz has the thing on the knob of his bat. Like, these guys have all these little things they use to get an edge. Does anybody check those? Like, are we actually checking to make sure these guys aren't using like spider tack on their bats so they can swing as hard as they want without losing it? Are we making sure that these little thumb things aren't like giving them an advantage for how they release the bat? Like, or are we just like allowing that to be what it is because, you know, it helps them hit?
Yeah, I think then we're getting into like the micromanaging of the game. And it's not even about the game at that point. It's just about policing guys getting an advantage, but which could take away from the time of the game too. But
Oh, totally could. But I mean,
I don't know.
You're inspecting pitchers like every half inning. Like,
yeah, I get it.
I feel like, you know, MLB is already heading down this path of like, you know, how often do they check the bats? How often do they check the, you know, the various sprays they've got in the on deck circle? How often are they checking what these guys are actually putting on their hands? Like, and I'm not saying do it every at bat, but like during a series, or at least like walking into the dugout to be like, hey, what are you guys using? Like,
yeah,
I'm assuming there's got to be some kind of inspection of this stuff, but you just don't see it.
No.
The pitchers are obvious. The inning ends, they get frisked.
Yeah, right.
So,
yeah. All right. Another thing leading off is MLB released today that they are going to address the uniform issues finally. And I say finally, I mean not until next year.
This is a uniform issue?
Yeah. Huh. And not even like the main issue that I have, but I'll get into. So they're going to address the lettering on the back, so the nameplate on the back, the
so it doesn't look like mom stitched it for him.
Right. Yeah. Number one mom ironed on the front. Like,
it's what I mean. Some of those look like literally like they had the moms got together and made the uniforms.
Yeah.
No offense to the moms out there, but
they could probably do a better job.
Yeah.
The mismatched grays, which are so bad, and then the material, like the Yankees jerseys you saw in that opening series against the Astros, they were just all drenched and like it was bad. It was a bad
horrible
look. Now, my issue is the number of players that are sliding and ripping pants completely.
Who was so the other night, and like literally the entire like from the hip to the knee of the friggin' pants was gone.
Riley Green. It was all the way from like his hip to his ankle.
Like the whole side of his pants are gone, just gone.
He gets to the dugout and he's like, "I'll be right back." Right. He's like,
well, and we said that, you know, we were talking about these things during the spring training series when they first brought them out, and the three of us were like, "I'm just waiting for somebody to slide and tear the entire side of the pants off." And it seems like every night somebody's got to go change their pants because they've ripped them right through.
I've seen like butts getting completely ripped out. I've like not even on the seam, like the actual pant material itself is just tearing.
They just shred with a hard slide. They shred.
Yeah, absolutely crazy. So apparently they're going to address that next year. So they'll just play with what they got this year and hope for the best, I guess.
What's interesting is MLB came right out and said this was a Nike issue. Like Nike was trying a new material, a new style, based on feedback from the players. We never saw it. We didn't get to test it. This was all on Nike. So all of a sudden, this whole battle now, MLB's like, oh, it's totally your fault. We had nothing to do with it. Like, you surprised us with this change, and we weren't ready for it, but we had to go with it because you said so. And you know, look at here. You know, you've got Major League Baseball, the customer, this big brand, this massive emblem of sports, and they're the passenger here on the uniforms because Nike wanted to change something. As the commissioner of baseball, you don't let a vendor change something on you by surprise. You just don't. Like, that's part of your job. You protect the integrity of the game. You protect the public perception of the game. Wow. Nike making a change like this doesn't just happen. There's no way.
Look who's heading the front office there, so it doesn't surprise.
No, I get it. I mean, you got to consider who's there, and you're like, okay, yeah, guy got it. He screwed up. He doesn't want to own it. And he's going to blame Nike, and Nike, because of the size of the contract, is probably going to just roll over and say, "Thank you, sir. May I please have another?" Because they're getting paid a boatload of money.
Yeah.
But like the Cardinals still don't have their powder blue away jerseys uniforms last I saw. The Mariners are still missing a road uniform. Like, they are still having trouble getting uniforms out the door to these teams. And there are some nights the uniforms they get them look like crap. Yeah. Like the colors are wrong, the colors are off, the colors don't match. I want to say it was the Rockies played a couple nights ago, and like the jerseys looked like they were washed out. Like they cannot consistently get uniforms to the players that even look right. Forget about looking good. They don't even look right. Like they don't match each other. It's the craziest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, I don't understand it, but
don't worry. In 2025, it's going to be fine.
Yep, all good.
Like what a mess.
Yep, it's awesome.
A $10 billion league can't get quality uniforms on the field for the players,
and an even bigger company can't even get good quality uniforms on the field.
What a comedy of errors here.
Yeah. All right. Before we're going to talk about the current league leaders after a month of play. But first, we have a couple milestones this week. Pete Alonso hit his 200th career home run already. Crazy.
Yeah, well, when you hit 53 as a rookie, it kind of helps.
Yeah. Anthony Rizzo hit his 300th in Milwaukee the other day. And then Wyatt Langford's first career home run was an inside the Parker. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, he still hasn't left the yard, right? That's still the only one?
Nope, still the only home run.
This is a guy who hit a boatload of them in spring training, and he cannot hit one out.
Yeah, so pretty cool.
He'll have a week where he hits like 7. He'll be right back where he belongs.
Oh, for sure. I'm just waiting for that kid to adjust and just go on a tear. And
did I see correctly? Did Aaron Judge move past? Is Aaron Judge not like one of the Yankees, or did he move past Jeter on the all-time?
I believe so, yeah. Yeah. But again, when you hit 62 and 52, and it doesn't take long to get past Derek Jeter.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. I mean, Jeter was not a home run hitter. He's just there forever.
Right. So, all right, we're going to get into current league leaders, and I have some lists that I'm going to share, and I'm going to ask you if there's any shockers in the list when we pull them up. But first, before we get into the individual players, here are the best records in baseball as of yesterday when I did this. Guardians 19-9, Yankees 19-10, Braves 19-7.
Yep.
So, I mean, obviously for me, it's the Guardians. Right.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you look at the beginning of this year and you're like, well, I don't really expect anything out of anyone in the AL Central.
No.
And the Guardians are that playoff team we saw a couple of years ago. They're scrappy. They run. They play decent defense. They all have great contact. I mean, the top 3 hitters, you got Kwan, Jimenez, and Ramirez. I mean, you can't get through those 3 guys, at least one of them getting on base.
No. What shocks me with the Guardians is the number of runs they've scored.
Yeah.
Like, this is a team that was so offensively challenged last year. Like, they would go through droughts. They would score like literally 5 runs in a week. And they now have the second most runs in the American League, 5 behind the Yankees. Like, we thought they would pitch and play defense because they have. I did not think they could hit like this. And they're getting contributions up and down that lineup. There's no easy out. And you could argue that Jose Ramirez, like, isn't even providing the punch he normally does.
Right.
And they're still scoring runs in bunches. And that, to me, is the biggest shock. They are scoring way more runs than I ever thought they would.
Yeah. Stephen Kwan is the craziest contact hitter I've seen in quite some time. He just doesn't swing and miss. Ever.
He doesn't.
If he doesn't like a pitch, he's like, I'll just slap this into the seats and get the next one. Like,
he's got to be one of the most frustrating guys to pitch to, because you know that he's in total control. He will just, like you said, he'll just flick a ball foul. Yeah. It's close, but I don't want it. He'll flick it foul, flick it foul, flick it foul. Then he'll put one back up the middle.
Yeah, dude.
Or he'll hit a missile like he did against the Braves into the seats. The guy's got 3 or 4 home runs this year, and they're not cheap. But he's not up there to hit bombs.
If I'm a pitcher, dude, and he's already like fouled off 2, I mean, I'm just gonna put him on first base. I don't feel like a 20 pitch at bat right now.
Yeah, he'll wear you out.
Yeah, absolutely crazy.
And he doesn't chase. Like, he's super disciplined.
Yep.
And he'll just wear you out and drive you crazy.
But
I mean, talk about a table setter. I mean, that's like, he's like your old school leadoff hitter, the guy that would grind out in a bat, is perfectly fine taking 12 pitches and getting a walk. Yep. Doesn't care. Absolutely. Just going to get on base. But never strikes out.
Never. All right. So here, I got the list going right now. We have our current MLB leaders. We're going to start with pitching wins here. So Tyler Glasnow with 5, Ranger Suarez with 5, and then we have 2 relief pitchers already with 5. So AJ Minter and Reed Garrett. I mean, anybody on that list kind of surprise you?
I mean, the relief pitchers, obviously, you don't see a lot of relievers get wins
This early, already
Yeah,
get
this early. I mean,
five.
5 is a good season for most relievers. I mean, these guys. I mean, unfortunately, these guys are pitching in bullpens that tend to blow games and win them later. So
Yeah, right.
they're benefiting from being in bad bullpens and catching the benefit of that. But I look at that list, and I really the top two. Glasnow is no surprise; he's an absolute monster.
Yeah, he's on
But
almost all these lists.
Ranger Suarez is a guy who has proven for the Phillies how good he can be. And he's finally showing it in the regular season. He's been lights out in the playoffs.
Yeah,
but he is really delivering now. And Wheeler and Nola have been good but not great. And Suarez has really kind of carried the torch while those guys have settled back in.
Absolutely.
I mean, we mentioned the best records. I mean, the Phillies are at 19-10, right behind everybody.
Yeah.
And it's Ranger Suarez has really has helped them kind of light that fuse and go. Because when he started reeling off wins, everything took off.
Yeah, the Phillies have been hot this past week, so they're right behind the Braves, so it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, Nola and Wheeler got off to a slow start for the first couple of weeks. Suarez has been consistent since day one, and then when they came back around, forget it. That's a nasty 3-headed monster.
Yeah. All right, so pitching strikeouts, obviously Glasnow with 53, Zach Wheeler with 46. Logan Gilbert jumped up into this top list here yesterday, I think, or Saturday, so 44. Then you have Hunter Green, Luis Castillo, and Jared Jones of the Pittsburgh Pirates with 42. I mean, would this look different if Spencer Strider's on the hill? Probably.
Well, yeah, I'm 100%. Right. Would look different if a lot of guys are pitching right now? Yeah, it would.
Right. But, I mean, no one really shocks me on this list, except for maybe Jared Jones, just because we never really heard of him. But that Pirate staff is good. They're good.
They can pitch. I mean, they've had a really rough couple of weeks after that hot start, and they've really come back to reality. But it's not because they haven't pitched; it's because they just haven't scored any runs.
Yeah.
But no, I look at that list: Glasnow and Wheeler, no surprise. Logan Gilbert, I don't really think of Logan Gilbert as a big time strikeout guy, but he can be. And then Jared Jones is kind of an unknown, so he's a bit of a surprise. But when you look at that Pirates rotation, they are good all the way through.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, ERA leaders. Here we go. Jose Barrios, a 1-2-3. Suarez again at the top, 1-3-2. Yep. Cutter Crawford jumped up a little bit here from his 0.66 to a 1-3-5. And then Jordan Hicks, a 1-5-9. So this is Jordan Hicks, if you remember, was a longtime relief pitcher for the Cardinals. And then when he went to the Giants, has become a starter. So he's settling in well there. And then, I mean, Jose Barrios is interesting to me because we saw what he could be in Minnesota.
Right.
And he just never could seem to get over that hump. And then even in Toronto, I mean, it's still early. Don't get me wrong. It's April. We're a month in.
Yeah, you're talking 4 or 5 starts for these guys.
Yeah. But I mean, it's still not bad. Over 4 or 5 starts. That's a really good ERA to have. So kind of shocker to have Barrios at the top there, but
I mean, honestly, if anybody out there predicted these 4 guys would be in the top 4 ERA leaders, you're lying.
Yeah, right.
Because they were on nobody's bingo sheet as being potential top 4 ERA guys.
Yeah.
Barrios has got good stuff, no doubt. Never really put it together. But at the same time, the Blue Jays are a relatively uninteresting team, so it's kind of hard to believe he's playing that well when they're not. Suarez, great in the playoffs. Has not been great in the regular season. Here he goes. Cutter Crawford. I mean, geez, nobody saw this coming.
No one knows who he is. Outside of Red Sox Nation, who knows who Cutter Crawford is? No one.
No, I mean, and will Cutter Crawford finish with a 1.35 ERA? No, probably not. No. But I think he's proven he belongs in the big leagues, which I think was a question a lot of people had going into the season was, where does he belong? Is he a bullpen guy? Is he a starter? Is he really a major league pitcher? Right. And then Jordan Hicks has shown he's been great in the bullpen. Didn't know what he'd be as a starter, but if anybody had this 4, you're lying because nobody saw this coming.
Jordan Hicks, fellow type 1 diabetic there.
That's right. Sugar daddy.
That's right. All right. Next category, we got our whip leaders. Obviously, Ranger Suarez, 0.63 here. Tariq Skubal for the Tigers at 0.74. Gilbert at 0.80. And Dylan Cease at 0.87.
Yeah, I mean, again, Ranger Suarez has been that good. Scooble's been pretty impressive. Other than a
Yeah.
few mistakes that have really hurt him in games, um, he's been good. Gilbert, I mean, and Dylan Cease. I mean, we know who Dylan Cease is.
Yeah.
And his stuff looks good. I mean, it's a shame
Right.
that Padres team is proving again that they are kind of a mess. But and I will say the Red Sox, it looks like dodged a bullet on Xander Bogaerts because he's not the same player. He
Not even
really
close.
isn't.
No.
The bat looks
Scooble,
slow, and
yeah. Scooble has, Yellowstone to pitch in too, as Sean likes to
well,
call it.
yeah, that helps.
Comerica Park is the most pitcher friendly park in MLB. I mean, it's massive.
Agreed.
But I mean, he's still got disgusting stuff. Like
He does. He's going to be good for a long time.
Yeah. So those are your whip leaders and our save leaders here. Kyle Finnegan for the Nationals with 9. So we got a 5-way tie here. Jason Foley, Ryan Helsley, Clay Holmes, and Robert Suarez. What I find interesting is all these guys.
All of them?
Right. But like, other than Clay Holmes, there really isn't a first place team that has a closer in there.
No, I mean, I would expect to see guys like Edwin Diaz, Alexi Diaz, Camilo Duvall. Like, I expect to find those guys on this list.
Yeah.
Bednar. Those are your lights out late game guys.
And
they're all like not far off, but this is another list of nobody would have picked these 5. I mean, the Nationals closer is leading the league. Like, no way. Nobody would ever have predicted that. Oh, although I will say he showed last year, you give him the ball with the lead, he won't give it back.
Right.
But still, I mean, how many chances is he going to get? That's a question you always have to ask.
Right. And this is a little misleading too, because the good closers will emerge in the next couple months and take over the saves lead. This is the first month. It is. I get it's a little skewed, but yeah, just found that list interesting.
It's a really, 9 saves in April's pretty good. I mean, that's you're putting yourself on a 40-50 save trajectory right here.
You're telling me that the Nationals got 9 wins in April? I'd be like, you're crazy.
I mean, literally, if Finnegan's going to save 50 games, he's going to save like 80% of their wins.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and he might. I mean, he literally might. I mean, when you only win every 3 days, he's always fresh.
Yeah. All right, we're going to move over to the offense here. Kind of no surprise here with your hits leaders. I mean, the cheat code, Mookie Betts, 46, Ohtani and Trey Turner with 41, Steven Kwan with 40. Already kind of talked about Steven Kwan. Dude never swings and misses. Like, he's just going to have hits. But good to see Trey Turner kind of come out hot and not struggle like he did last year.
That was a season he wants to forget, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
but I mean, Mookie Betts is ungodly good. Shohei has settled right in and is having a nasty offensive season with all those doubles. He's a gap machine.
Yeah. Yeah, he hits the ball so hard, dude. It's ridiculous.
It's stupid. I mean, it's to the point it's almost unfair. Like, there's no soft contact from him ever.
No. And if there is, it's 500 feet straight in the air.
Right.
Like,
right.
You can't see it.
Up the elevator.
Yeah. All right. OPS leaders here. We got Betts obviously at the top. Marcelo Zuna putting together, had a great month. Alec Boehm, another great month. And then obviously Ohtani. So,
yeah, Boehm is kind of an unsung hero here. I mean, and Rizzo and Boehm were your players of the week this week because Boehm had a ridiculous week last week.
Yeah.
But he's carved out a spot for himself. I mean, Marcelo Zuna's got 31 RBIs.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that in a second.
I mean,
it's crazy.
I would literally watched a couple of Braves games over the weekend against the Guardians, and that guy comes up every single time with guys on, and he always gets a hit. Like, he always comes through.
But I mean, like, I don't have the talent I used to, and I'm not even saying I had great talent back then, but in my peak days, I could have hit in that Braves lineup because, like, I'm going to get something to hit because you're not going to feed Olsen. You're not going to feed Riley. You're not going to feed Acuna. Like, and then all those guys get on base. Like, it's who do you get out in that lineup?
Ozuna's living large off the scraps that are left for him. Like, it's unbelievable.
Travis d'Arnaud, dude. What, like 5 home runs in a 3-game stretch or something like that? Like, get out of. They're not even missing Sean Murphy right now.
I was just gonna say, and I'm watching going, oh, I forgot Sean Murphy was out because they're still just
God, man,
They were
that
playing
Brave.
They were playing the young kid on was it
Yeah,
Saturday or Sunday.
yeah, it's insane.
And I mean, he did okay, but I mean, they're not even missing Murphy because they're getting so much offense everywhere else.
Nuts. All right, batting average leaders. So obviously, and then we got Will Smith at 367. Bohm with that crazy week jumps up to 365, and William Contreras at 352.
Yeah, he's had a really good couple of weeks too. He's come alive, and the Brewers have kind of followed. I mean,
Yeah,
the Brewers have they won 6 of their last 10, but at one point they won 8 of their last 10, and they sprung it back up in the NL Central lead.
they are better than I expected.
Yeah,
like watching them play, I thought they weren't gonna be that good this year, to be honest. But they're playing above what I expected. Are they great? I don't think so.
yeah.
But I'm just saying they're playing better than I thought they would.
I think it's a couple things with the Brewers. They're wildly inconsistent, which makes it really hard to gauge. And they have had a little bit of luck lately. I mean, their expected win-loss, they're 2 games better than their expected win-loss. They're only a plus 14 run differential, but so are the Cubs.
Right.
That whole NL Central has proven to be a little inconsistent. I think you had the Reds that were hot for a while and they've fallen back. The Cubs got hot for a while, they've fallen back.
Pirates.
The Pirates came out screaming. They've had a really rough couple of weeks, and they've dropped 7 of their last 10 again.
Cardinals are still a trash heap.
Yeah, the Cardinals are a mess.
Man.
They're a mess, but and as good as the Pirates pitching staff is, they've given up 121 runs. I mean, it's not like they haven't been great statistically. Their starters have been good, but they've struggled.
Yeah.
They've had a tough time keeping the wheels on the bus.
Yeah. All right. Home runs here. Mike Trout, obviously, with 10 here.
Now, imagine Mike Trout hitting in Marcell Ozuna's place.
No, thank you. I don't want to.
He'd be at 10 and 40, like easy.
Right God, now. Man. Gunnar Henderson with 9, Tyler O'Neill with 9, and then Ozuna with 9.
Yep.
So, I mean, good for Gunnar. I'm all for the young kid being up here, but
I mean, he's definitely proven that he belongs and he is an elite talent.
Yeah.
It's a shame that Jackson Holiday, couldn't kind of follow suit and play like Gunnar, but Gunnar was also more experienced than Holiday was when he came up. Right. So, and then Tyler O'Neill for the Red Sox, who just hits bombs.
Yeah. And he was out with a concussion for a few games. Like he's missed some time here and there. Like he is going to wear that green monster out this year.
Oh, he will. I mean, that home run to center, like Imanaga was even like, wow, okay.
that reaction was awesome.
Like he did not think that was going to get out, and it did.
Yeah, absolute seed.
But when you look at, let's our good friend Mike Trout, 10 home runs, 14 RBIs.
Yeah.
10 home runs, 14 RBIs. Marcell Ozuna, 9 home runs, 31 RBIs.
So after this segment, I have a trivia question that kind of goes with that. So hang on, and I'll get it to you. It's awesome.
If there was ever anybody on base in front of Trout, that Angels team would be an absolute terror.
Yep.
But they are 10 and 18, minus 36, because they can't score any runs because nobody gets on base.
Yep. All right, here we go. RBIs or RSBI. I never get the RBIs because it's not run batted ins. Anyways,
well, it's because the plural goes to the front because they're connected words. So that's
right. I get it.
It's a weird one.
All right, Marcell Ozuna 31, Bohm at 26, Salvi Perez for your Kansas City Royals 26, and Adolis Garcia. I mean, he's always a terror.
They need it. When they need a hit, he's there. Like every time, the guy breaks up no hitters regularly. He knocks in runs regularly. When they need a hit, he's there every single time.
The guy is so strong. He is an ox, man. It is crazy.
He's a freak.
Yeah. So those are your RBI leaders.
Those Kansas City Royals who sit at 17 and 12, still giving up the fewest runs in baseball, a plus 43 run differential. That team is good. They're good.
I am on that Royals bus with you guys. I love watching them. They're fun.
When they made those signings back in December, I'm like, this is going to be my team this year. Are they flashy? No. Are they super talented? No. But they are deep and they play good baseball, and that's really all you got to do.
Yep. All right, here we go. Stolen bases. Ellie De La Cruz leads with 18.
And they're not close. They're not.
No.
None of these are close.
No. Well, I mean, he's 10 feet tall. He takes 3 strides. He's to the next base. It's crazy.
He's so fast. It's not even right.
Yeah. Bryce Terang for the Brewers with 13. Acuna and Lane Thomas with 11.
There's Acuna getting off to a slow start with 11 steals in April.
It's silly.
So
MLB Network shared this stat today. Ellie De La Cruz 2024 season, his 162 game pace, 281 average, 41 home runs, 104 stolen bases, 145 runs. That is how his April is.
Could he be our first 40-100 guy?
Imagine that, dude.
I mean, honestly, I picked the wrong Cruz for MVP. I should have taken Ellie over Pittsburgh. I'm blanking on his name. O'Neal Cruz. Thank you. My goodness. I took Ellie over O'Neal, and I shouldn't have. I mean, I really went back and forth. I picked the wrong Cruz, but Ellie De La Cruz, he'll hit a 118 mile per hour exit velo home run in one at bat, and then he'll hit a blooper to left. He runs out for a double. The guy does everything. He does everything, and he is like pure electricity.
Yeah, it's nuts. So those are our leaders. I just picked a few categories and just picked the big main ones. And I mean, again, it's only a month into the season, but it's kind of fun to just look and see where people are at this point of the season.
Yeah, and there's definitely some names on those leaderboards that I don't think anybody expected.
No. So, all right, we're going to take a break from news and stuff and do a little bit of trivia. I got a trivia question, and the MLB player puzzles are back. So if you guys had followed us during the off season, I put together some slideshows. It's just random pictures put together, and it comes out with the players' names. But before we get into that, I have the trivia question for you.
All right.
So we were just talking about Mike Trout, 10 home runs, 14 RBIs, right? Which two players have hit the most home runs while staying under 100 RBIs in a single season? Oh. Who are they, and how many bombs did they hit?
Griffey.
No. One of them you should get because he just did it. Plays on the Phillies.
He just did it. Was it Harper? No, Schwarber.
Schwarber, yes.
Yeah, say Schwarber had a wicked, like 41 bombs and like.
Oh, I can't give away. Well, okay, I'll give away the home run. 46 bombs, 94 RBIs.
That's a terrible ratio.
Yep. But I mean, leadoff hitter, they're all solo shots.
And he doesn't get any hits other than home runs. Like he's not hitting like any bases loaded doubles.
And then the other guy is a 40-40 guy. I'll give you that hint.
Recent 40-40 guy or old?
The most recent 44.
Acuna?
Oh, no. Sorry. Before Acuna.
Oh, I was like, wait a second. Acuna? Okay. Who did 40? Who was the 40-40 before that? It was, no, not A-Rod. Oh, crap. How far back are we going?
2006 for the Nationals.
Oh, Soriano.
Yeah, Soriano. 95 RBIs. So 46 bombs, geez. 95 RBIs.
That's just when you hit that many home runs, like you should accidentally have like 110 RBIs.
Yeah.
Like accidentally.
Absolutely crazy. So
he had a 40-40 season and didn't even drive in 100. Like that's horrifying.
I don't know if he did it in that particular year.
Oh, okay. Because that'd be horrifying if it was that season.
No, I was just giving you hints towards who it was. But yeah, because I think he barely got the 40 home runs, if I remember right. So
he did.
But crazy. All right, here we go, Harrison. MLB player puzzles trivia time. Here we go.
Let's do it.
First one.
Oh, here we go.
Who is this?
Oh boy. What are those, furs?
Yep.
Oh, Rafael Furcal?
Yes, Rafael Furcal.
I loved Rafi. He would bunt like that. He'd pull it back and then slap it down the throat of the shortstop and third baseman.
Yep, absolutely. Rafael Furcal. All right, next one.
Oh, okay. What is that? It's like a towel?
Or another word for it. Like if you're in the garage and you just need to wipe something
Oh, is this
down.
Cole Raggins?
It is. It's Cole Raggins. Yeah, Cole Raggins.
Boy, he's fun to watch. He's good.
Yep. Okay, next one. Just got traded from the Giants to the Pirates.
Oh, my God. That's not a kangaroo. What is that thing?
It is a kangaroo, but it's the name of a baby kangaroo. He was supposed to be the Giants' next catching prospect after Buster Posey, and it didn't work out.
Yeah, I can't think of his name now to save my life.
This is
Give it to me.
Joey Bart.
Thank you, Joey. I was like,
Joey,
I got the Bart, but I can't think of his first name.
Yep, Joey Bart. All right, next one. I mean, the last picture should give it away.
De La Cruz.
Yeah, it's Ellie De La Cruz.
Ellie De La Cruz. Yeah.
Yep.
I was like, I'm like, okay.
This is a pop culture entrant. It's
Spencer Steer.
It is. It's Spencer Steer. Nice.
Yeah, I have no idea who the guy on the left is, but I got the Steer. I picked up the Steer part.
Yep. Here you go, Morgan. This one's for you.
Justin Steele.
Justin Steele.
I hope he's listening. We got it this time, Morgan. Oh, Mason Miller.
Yep, Mason Miller. Good.
My goodness, that he is like the most electric relief pitcher in baseball.
I love watching him throw. It's crazy.
Like when we get late in Oakland games, like I'm watching to see who's in the mound. Because if he's there, I'm going over to it.
Yep, absolutely. All right, next one.
Oh, it's Valdez.
Yep. What is this second picture of?
But it's the gear shifter. It's the manual transmission. I'm trying to think of all the other words for it.
So manual should give it away. It's yeah. He plays for the Red Sox. It's Ed Manuel Valdez.
Oh, okay. And okay. I was like, the in is throwing me off. Like, what am I doing with the in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's weird because it's not a Manuel Valdez, which it's usually a manual, but it's N Manuel, which is different. But all right, next one. The top picture is a type of butter. I'll give you that.
Shea Hillenbrand.
Yes, Shea Hillenbrand. Nice.
He was a character.
Yep. Who is this?
Is that supposed to be sign language?
Yep.
Great.
Current Cubs player, sometimes plays third, mostly outfield.
Oh, is this Christopher Morel?
It is.
I'm like more. I remember that from the kids. That was more.
Yeah,
Chris. I got it.
Yeah, Chris, Stop Her, More, and then L from Stranger Things. Okay, we got the next one. Currently on the Mets.
So is that a DJ?
DJ, yeah, that's his first name. And then
DJ John?
Not John.
What's his DJ Stewart?
Yes, DJ Stewart. All right, next one.
Is it the actor or the character?
It's the character.
Okay, so it's Uncle Jesse.
Yep.
I have no idea who the girl is, though.
This guy went from Cincinnati to the Mariners to the Brewers And
Oh,
it's
Winker.
yes,
Yeah.
Jesse Winker.
I was like, I thought the girl was like an actress or something. Like, I have no idea
No,
who that
no.
is.
Jesse Winker. All right,
Who's
next.
never really refound his swing. Like, he's
No,
just never
it's too
put it
bad.
back together.
No. All right, next one. Gunnar Henderson had another home run tonight.
Every night.
So who's in the top picture here?
I'm trying to figure that out.
Gravity.
Oh, is that Newton?
Yep, or his first name.
Oh, is this Isaac Paredes?
Yes.
Thank you.
Isak Paredes. I've heard it pronounced
Yeah.
both ways, but
There's several guys like Rengifo. Like, I always
Yeah.
I have to like think about his name before I say it. There's
Yeah.
a bunch of guys that I
Yeah.
just never get them right.
yeah. So Isak Paredes. Probably the only bright spot for the Chicago White Sox right now.
Oh yeah. The hell's the guy on the left? Like, I remember from Everybody Loves Raymond.
Yep.
I'm drawing a blank on his name.
This is Brad, and then whatever his last
Garrett.
name is. Yep. So it would be. Who would the player be? The ace for the White Sox.
Yeah, I was gonna say what.
What is she doing in the picture?
She's crocheting, but isn't it?
Yeah, it's Garrett Crochet.
Oh, I was gonna go. I thought it was Roche. I thought they had to take the C off of it.
No, it's Garrett.
He actually
Crochet.
literally is Crochet.
Yeah, Garrett Crochet. All right, next one. We actually talked about him. He was in one of our leader lists.
Oh.
This is a tougher one, I think.
Yeah, so this one's. We got a bull.
Yep. And it's not a barcode. It's another. There's 3 letters that.
UPC.
Or there's another word for it. It's also called something else.
Oh. SKU. Oh,
yeah.
It's a Scooble.
Yeah, it's yeah.
Yeah.
So Tar Eek
Yeah.
is Scooble.
Yeah, got it.
Yep. My rookie of the year pick.
What? Hang on. What on earth is that on the right?
Churros. I just gave it away.
Okay. I was like, what? I mean, I remember you picked Jackson Churio, but I'm like, I don't think that's what this is.
It was either
churros.
I almost put churros, but I also put Cheerios and like tried to like blend them together, but I didn't know. I went churros. Yeah, whatever. So yeah, Jackson Churio.
Yeah. He's actually been, I think he's been as good as advertised, and he's gotten a chance to play.
Yeah.
Okay, what do we got here? We got Joe Burrow.
Yep.
I have no idea that this is the left.
It's Sandra Day.
Oh,
whatever her last name is.
Yeah.
Sandra Day O.
Oh, it's Connor Joe.
Yeah, it's Connor Joe. Good.
My gut reaction was Connor Joe because I picked up the Joe part and I'm like, I don't know who is on the left.
Yeah, and like who has the last name Joe besides Connor Joe?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. There are some where it's like, okay, like Spencer Steer. Like when I got Steer, I'm like, okay, I know who this is. Doesn't even matter who the guy on the left is.
Yeah, right, exactly. All right. And I think this is the last one I got.
Wow. Who's the guy in the middle?
So that's one picture. It's the guy who invented that.
Got it. Okay.
This kid hit his way onto the big league team this year.
So we got Alexander Graham Bell over there.
Yep.
And we got fire.
Or another word for fire. He plays shortstop for them. He's a rookie. Like literally hit 400 in spring training. NL West.
Oh crap.
like the whole house is
Yeah, Blaze
Blaze,
Alexander.
yes, Blaze Alexander. Yeah,
I'm like, my goodness, I can picture him, but I cannot because he's got
yeah,
one of those unique names.
yeah, Blaze Alexander. So, all right, well, we brought him back. Kind of struggled through him a little bit there, but it was good. We're a little rusty. It's been a few weeks.
Those are fun. I like those though. Those are fun. But there are sometimes
There's
like you just get a brain cramp on one, you just can't get
Oh
past it.
yeah, absolutely. Well, and it's easy for me because I created them. So
Because you
like,
made them.
it's like
It's
come
funny when
on,
you get
man.
Sean and I going back and forth on these.
Yeah. Oh my god, so funny.
Because
So
usually between the two of us, we can work them all out.
yeah. All right, here we go. We got other news to wrap up the show tonight. So the Orioles have called up Heston Kierstead. They send down Jackson Holiday. Um, we talked about Holiday a little bit last week. Just, I mean, tough start for that kid.
Yeah.
Just not enough plate appearances, not enough time. Heston Kierstead put on an absolute clinic in AAA. Like he deserved to get called up for sure. So
I mean, he's arguably a better hitter than Holiday, but he doesn't have the defensive prowess that Holiday has. So he's a little more one dimensional. But man, the guy can hit.
That game I went to in Charlotte and saw him and Holiday play, dude. That ball that Kierstead hit was a mammoth shot. 3-run shot, like deep right center field. Like outfielders didn't even move. Like it was crazy.
I'm literally convinced if you took that AAA team for the Orioles and put them in the AL Central, they'd finish like in third.
Yeah, easy.
Like they're so good.
Now, I have a teacher at school. He's a massive Orioles fan. He's from Baltimore, and he's like, "My God, can we get rid of Craig Kimbrell, please?" And I go,
he's so bad.
I go, listen, dude. I've been there as a Red Sox fan. Been there. It's a heart attack close every time that guy's in. And what's really hurting them is Felix Bautista being out with Tommy John. That really hurts the Orioles bullpen. But
when you could pair Bautista and Cano together, that was a nasty 8-9 punch. Now you get to the 9th and you can flip a coin because he blew one the other night where it was like 2 walks and then a bomb and they lost. It's like he's just you just know going into it it's going to be an adventure.
That's what he does though. Him and Jonathan Papelbon were the same guys. Like Papelbon comes in, walks the first 2, and then whatever there's a guy on second base, he'll like strike the next 3 guys out. It's like could we not do that? Like that's
but then like thanks. 1 out of like 4 times that strikeout becomes a 3-run game losing home run, and you're like, oh crap! Like there he is, he's back.
Yeah,
but like there's never a clean inning. Like never a clean inning.
Heart attack closers at their best. But
when you had Bautista last year and saw what it could look like when you had a really strong back in the bullpen, going to Kimbrell is painful.
Watching him live was something else, dude.
Bautista
when we went,
that's an experience. Like the way that he comes in, the way he commands the attention, and the way he commands the attention of the hitters too. I mean, it's an experience. Like you can feel it in the ballpark.
Crazy, but. Another cool thing, a little viral video that was going around, D-backs prospect Josmer Alvarez, probably butchered that name, sorry. He struck out 5 in 1 inning. He's had a 5 strikeout inning, which is crazy. I've never seen one. I've seen plenty of 4 strikeout innings.
I've never seen a 5.
That's
never even heard of a 5 for that matter.
No. And like you said before we came on, he threw a changeup that had at least 20 inches of lateral break on it. The catcher didn't even have a prayer.
No, the catcher. I mean, honestly, the catcher did a nice job even getting close to this ball.
Yeah.
But he threw a changeup that had so much fade to the arm side. The catcher literally had to lunge for it, still couldn't catch it. The batter swung at it. It looked ridiculously bad.
You watch the catcher's glove. It like starts on the inside corner, and then he goes like this, and then has to like flip it to go. And the batter's it was nasty, but
it was nuts.
Absolutely crazy. 5 strikeout inning. That's cool.
What's impressive is that he had the stuff to just keep striking guys out.
Yeah, right. Nuts.
That's
nuts. Then we got Oklahoma Sooners softball player Jocelyn Allo. She's the all-time home run champion, signed a 1-month contract with the Savannah Bananas. So she will be playing on the Bananas for the next month as they travel around. Because I think they've already started their tour for the summer. So
yes, they've already started.
Yeah, so it's crazy.
And they continue to just sell out everywhere. Like they are must-see baseball.
Yeah. Banana ball, you mean?
Sorry, yeah, banana ball. I mean, but it's proof. It's proof that people want to be entertained, and
yes,
they don't care that it's not baseball.
no,
It's baseball-ish with a lot more entertainment, but it's a show. It literally, you're going to a show where they're going to play a little bit of baseball in between.
And it's just a marketing genius to bring in these like old time ball players too.
Oh, it's awesome.
Because fans love to see that as well. You know, like they know somebody big is going to be at each game, and it's awesome. Love it.
Yeah, it's entertaining. People love it, and everywhere they go, draws a crowd.
Yeah, they were just in Durham here a couple weeks ago, and you couldn't get hands on tickets. I mean, it was crazy. But all right, the Tampa Bay Rays dropped their City Connect jerseys. Your initial thoughts?
I like the fact they went back to the retro Devil Ray colors. I like the fact they've got the greens and blues and coming through the uniform. But once like you step back, you can't read anything on the uniform. They're impossible to read. The gray just overpowers, and the colors are too thin. I think you mentioned. I think the hat and the helmet are cool. I think the standing ray that makes the T is. I think the hats and helmets are cool.
Yep.
I think the idea of the uniforms was good, but the execution is, as they all have been, relatively poor. But I do like the fact they at least thought of the original Devil Rays and how they went with this.
I love the neon green nameplate across the back.
Yeah.
I wish they would have gone with a neon green number, because when they're far away, you're not going to be able to see a gray number on the gray uniform. That's a little weird to me. But
no, and even on the front, like the Tampa Bay etching, like the color is so thin that once they step back, you can barely read it.
Yeah. So
again, I conceptually I think they had a good idea. The execution of it was okay.
Yeah.
I would have just like we talked about. I would have loved to have just seen them bring back the old white Devil Ray jersey with the greens and the blues. Those things were awesome.
Yeah, almost kind of like what the Angels did, because I really like the Angels ones because they didn't go way out into left field. They like took their current logo, but like made it a little bit retro, but it wasn't so far into left field that it was nuts. I wish they would have done that with Tampa. Like you could have taken their old color scheme and kind of just tweaked it a little bit so it was like modern, but paid a lot more homage to the original name. But I mean, the hats, like I said before we came on, I think the hats for all the City Connects are probably my favorite. I like cool. them. I like them more than the jerseys. Like I don't like Philly City Connects, but I think the hat's awesome. I'm wearing the Texas City Connect hat tonight. Like I had the Mariners one. Like I like the hats more than I like the actual jerseys and uniforms. But
yes,
to each their own.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's some good and some bad with all of them. I don't think anybody's City Connect has been like a slam dunk, universally loved. Like I think there's pros and cons, but I do agree with you. I think in most cases I've liked the hats. Like I like the Rangers hat you've got on more than I like the uniform.
Yeah.
I think the hats they've done a better job of than the uniforms. But the whole City Connect thing, I just feel like we're at the end of the cycle, and I'm kind of glad because I'm kind of done with it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm getting tired.
I don't love most of them, and I feel like it's just a distraction.
Yeah. All right, and the last thing I have is don't look now, but the Chicago White Sox have won 3 straight. 3 straight. That walk-off bomb that Benintendi hit the other day was electric. And if you haven't heard that home run call, you need to go back and find it.
Oh, because
that was awesome.
I kind of forgot about Andrew Benintendi, to be honest.
Yeah. Until I like watched the Royals White Sox game, I was like, oh, that's where that guy is now. Like same thing. I forgot he signed that big contract there. But yeah, White Sox have won 3 straight. And I don't think they have the worst record in the majors anymore. It belongs to the Marlins, I believe.
The Marlins, yeah. So the Marlins are 6-23. The White Sox are 6-22.
Oh, so by a half game.
By a half game. And the Rockies are 7-21, not far off. So the Miami Marlins are also absolutely wretched. But I would say statistically, the White Sox are way worse. The Marlins are at least show some signs of life, but the White Sox are 6-22. They've scored 77 runs. They're a -77. The Marlins are 6-23. They scored 102 runs. They're a -59.
You have been outscored by 77 runs in a month.
In 28 games.
Yikes.
Yeah, so call it 30 games, use a round number. You're getting outscored by more than 2 runs a game. Like, it's not necessarily competitive.
God dang, man.
And you're already 13 games back at the end of April.
So you're saying there's a chance.
Right, exactly. You're not eliminated yet. The Marlins are 14 and a half games back, behind the Braves, which is kind of unfair.
God. So
it's bad. It's really bad. And the Rockies are really bad. The Marlins are really bad. The White Sox are really bad. The White Sox, I think, are still the worst, but it's just sad to see 3 franchises that, I think, have some good history that have just been bad for a while.
I can't imagine going out for 162 games in a season and just knowing you're going to get your teeth kicked in for 6 out of the 7 games.
And imagine being Skip Schumacher. Like, you're a manager of the year, and now you're on pace to potentially lose nearly as many games as anybody has in history. I mean, talk about 2 different seasons.
Yeah.
Like, it's bad.
Crazy.
It's bad.
All right. That's all I had for tonight. Do you have anything to add?
I got a couple of quick little things for you. So, MLB's oldest living major leaguer, Art Shalek, he turned 100 years old. He actually once replaced New York Yankees slugger Mickey Mantle in 1951. He started in the 40s, playing in the 40s through the 50s, but he turned 100 years old. Not a lot of former players make it to that age.
Yeah.
The Astros promoted Joey Loperfido earlier today, creating a lot of question about Jose Abreu and what that's going to mean for him. That Astros team, we keep saying, when are they going to turn it around? When are they going to turn it around? They are 9-19 with a -22. They can't pitch, and lately they can't hit either. And I don't know what you do there. I mean, they're still in the top 8, favored to win the World Series, because everybody, including us, expects them to turn this around at some point, but they just can't, and they just aren't. They've lost 7 of their last 10 again. I feel like every week we say the same thing, like they're going to turn around, they're better than this, and then they'll go drop 5 more games, and it's like, what happened? But they're now calling up young players to try to create a spark. Abreu's role may get diminished. It's a mess. Houston's a mess, and
it's their whole starting rotation is just not like hurt. Like all of them are on the IL, and it's just. And then the one guy that didn't, gave up 9 runs to the Royals in the top of the first. It's just like,
if it wasn't for Blanco, they would have had no pitching in April. Like,
right?
They would have had nothing remarkable in April.
No. And
the injuries are bad, but it also proves, like, the Astros don't have a lot of depth. It's always been kind of, if those frontline guys don't play, we don't have a plan B, and the frontline guys aren't playing. No. And the lineup is starting to press. Kyle Tucker's been abysmal in April. Abreu's had a tough start. It's been very uneven from Alvarez and Altuve. Bregman's been very uneven. Like, those guys, you can see it. Like, every night they're grinding and pressing.
Yeah, Altuve
of disaster.
Altuve of late has been hot.
He's been great lately. He had a really kind of uneven start. Yeah, and that's the hard part too. Like, Yordan Alvarez got off to a good start. No one else did. Right. And then he went cold. And then Altuve picked it back up, and then Tucker had a week, and then he went cold again. Like, they have been, and granted, I will say the Astros last couple of years have done something kind of similar. They've gotten off to kind of weird starts, and then, like, the whole lineup clicked, and then off they went.
Yeah.
So I still feel like at some point they turn this around, but, like, if you're now calling up minor leaguers to replace everyday guys potentially and reduce their roles, that tells me they fear there's more problems here than it seems. Maybe they just want to get the kid up to see what he can do as a plan B, or just to give him a cup of coffee and see what's going on. But that's not a good sign that they're looking to pull minor leaguers up here at the end of April to, potentially take playing time away from a well-respected and highly paid veteran.
No, I think like as crazy as this might sound, the Astros are already like they haven't been in this position in how many years?
No, I mean they've
I
gotten off
mean,
to some
like
slow starts, but like nothing like this. They'll be
I,
500 in April, but they're not
I
like
mean,
this.
they're 9-19. Like, do you think they're hitting the panic button? I know we're a month in. It's crazy to say that, but are the Astros hitting the panic button?
I feel like they might be. I mean, Kyle Tucker has been really good of late. He's up to 290 now with 7 home runs and 20 RBIs. Like he's had a really good kind of week and a half, 2 weeks. Like he came alive. He went cold kind of the last, I would say 4 or 5 days, but he had a really good stretch. They have not put it together. It's always been somebody and then nobody else. And then that flips. Somebody else steps up, but nobody else does. And I feel like we said something similar last year. They got off to like a 500 start, I want to say, and they were kind of choppy. I do still think they turn it around, but like I feel like they're beginning to run at a time where you're still going to have that confidence level that they will, because none of these pitchers are coming back anytime soon. Most of these guys are out for a little while longer, and they just can't seem to put it together.
Yeah,
but we'll see.
Yeah.
And then did you see the video of the guy at Rogers Center?
No, I don't think so.
So a guy did a video. It might have been a TikTok. It was a TikTok video where he walked around Rogers Center in Toronto and just showed the prices. So at the Rogers Center right now, did you?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, at the Rogers Center, chicken tenders, fries, and a drink is $30. A hot dog, fries, and a drink is also $30. It's $30 for tacos. Like he was going down the list of prices and he was like, it is absolutely unaffordable to come to a baseball game. And the prices are insane. In this Toronto's just one example, but there's been a lot of fans complaining about concession prices all over baseball. But $30 for a hot dog, fries, and a drink.
Is that 30 Canadian though? I don't know what the exchange rate is, but
yeah, it was 30 Canadian, which is, I mean, the exchange rate's a lot closer than it used to be. So you're still talking, 20 something bucks.
26 bucks.
Yeah, $25 US. But still, for a hot dog, fries, and a soda, it cost them $3 to hand that to you. And it was $25. So and I mentioned to you, like they did all the renovations on the ballpark. It looks good. Like the place looks new, but they are absolutely stuffing it to the fans with the cost of everything. And there's been a lot of complaints around baseball at the cost of concessions, and it's too expensive to go to a game. And this was like a really horrendous example of that.
I mean, it is. Let's be honest. I mean, you can't bring a family of 4 to a baseball game anymore without, do I pay my mortgage this month or do I go to a baseball game? Like,
yeah,
like no joke. Like it is absolutely crazy. And really, it's only going to get worse as these contracts go up, the cost of these renovations go up. Like it's sad, really, is what it is.
It is, but I go back to our buddies at Diamond Sports Holdings who are buying up all these minor league teams. I think the fans are beginning to gravitate to minor league baseball because it's a cheaper experience. I took my family to a Sea Dogs game. The tickets we were in the second section up from home plate, $48 for the tickets. And we had hot dogs and popcorn and Sea Dog biscuits and all that stuff. And it was probably another $60-$70 in food. So I took the whole family out for a couple of hours for like $120, family of 4.
Right.
Because the fifth one doesn't eat yet, a little tiny one. But
right.
But 4 of us, that's pretty good for $20 or $30 a head to go to a game and be able to eat at it. That's a good value. At Fenway, that doesn't even get me in the door for one person.
No.
Like that's not even a ticket. Then I gotta buy the tickets and the food and pay for the parking. Like I had somebody offer me field box seats to the Red Sox, and I'm like, I'm good, thanks. Like I don't want to. I'm not going to pay for them. I don't want to pay for the parking. I don't want to pay for the food. Like I will pass because it's just not worth going for the cost and honestly the pain that it is to get in and out of Boston. It's like I'm good. Like I do the same thing with Patriots. I don't want Patriots tickets either because it's not worth going to me. But I understand why, although attendance was up last year, I think you're also seeing attendance up in the minor leagues because people are seeing that as a good alternative to Major League Baseball. Because I can watch that at home, but I'll go watch these younger guys up close.
Yeah. And I mean, for me in North Carolina, like, I don't have any MLB teams here, but I have 6 or 8.
Just like every town in North Carolina's got a team.
Has a minor league team. I mean, with Carolina Mudcats, the Greensboro Grasshoppers, we have the Durham Bulls, the Charlotte Knights, the Hickory Crawdads. I mean, like, there's a ton here.
Yep.
And like you said, it's affordable. Like, I went to the Charlotte Knights game. It was a 2-hour drive, but the tickets were $27 a piece, and I was 5 rows back.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's crazy. But yeah, I don't know. It's gonna get to a point where they're gonna see attendance go the other way. I think last year, with all the changes they made to speed up the game, and they changed the game a lot last year, and I think a lot of people were curious. You know, you were also riding on the tails of the WBC that was a huge hit, so people were excited about baseball. But if you keep jacking up these food prices, you know, you're not going to see families go out to ball games anymore, which is terrible.
Or you're going to attract in only the more affluent crowd,
right?
And your core fan base kind of gets neglected, and now it becomes, you know, kind of an experience, and it's hard because yes, baseball's a business. You got to pay your bills. You got to pay the players. Everybody wants a winner. Winners cost money. So like, I understand all those pieces of it, but you know, this guy's video is a perfect example of like, when's enough is enough. Like, how as a fan am I ever going to be able to come to a game comfortably more than once a season, and be able to pull this off? And you are going to drive, I think you're starting to drive some of your more hardcore fans away, and you're bringing in some more casual fans that are like, hey, for a couple $100, I'll go check it out.
Right.
The question is, do they come back? And in a year or two, how many of those fans did you keep that were just like peeking around, wondering what was going on?
I mean, it's hard for me. I'm trying to get to all 30 major league ballparks. And
that'd be cool.
Like, I'm, you know, avid baseball. Obviously, we wouldn't be doing this if we weren't.
Right.
But like, you know, it's getting harder and harder to be like, I can't go here and get all 3 stadiums because I can't afford to drop $600 on tickets. Like, let alone the lodging and travel. Like, that aside, like, just to get into the game, it's like, well, I don't know. Like, I have to sit up in the 3rd tier, like last seat up against the roof, you know, to even remotely think about affording it. It's nuts.
But. Yeah, I mean, and I think about, you know, last year we took the trip down. We checked out Baltimore, Camden Yards. We went to Nationals Park over there in DC and got really good tickets for not a lot of money. And those were great experiences, but that's not like every ballpark.
No.
You know, the drinks at Nationals Park were $8. You know, Fenway's like 14. Yeah, it is definitely different market to market, but there are some that I think are problems, and they're going to drive fans away.
Yeah, that's too bad.
But that one in Rogers Center was horrifying to think about paying $30 for hot dog, a soda, and fries.
Or like just nachos, dude. Like $25 for a bag of chips with some melted cheese that's been sitting in there for 3 weeks.
Right. Like, it's awful.
God dang, man, brutal. But all right. Anything else before we wrap it up for this week?
That's it. We got a good slate of baseball this week, so watch some baseball.
Absolutely. Braves are on the West Coast. I'm going to see if I can somehow finagle to watch them a little bit here, but I think I'm probably still blacked out of them. So we'll see. But all right. Thanks for chiming in. Thanks for listening. Before you go, just make sure you follow and like us on Facebook. You can also follow us on Instagram. You can also listen on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. You can also subscribe on YouTube. Share our reels, comment on our reels. We love the interaction. So keep up the support. We really appreciate it. And we will see you next Monday at 8 p.m.
See ya.